Okay, one of my first videos was about a similar topic about riot. It was about riots, let's be honest. And in it, I talked about Lakers fans, Bruins fans, Vancouver Canucks, I believe, fans rioting after their teams won their NBA championship or the Stanley Cup or whatever. In fact, you know what? I'll link it in the description. So, a lot of what I'm gonna say in this video, I've also said in that video. So, if you've seen that one and this one seems a little redundant, blame Philly fans. I'm just saying. Or blame Black Lives Matter, you know, that sort of thing. So from Newsweek, Black Lives Matter, Philadelphia Super Bowl riots reaction, glaring example of white privilege. No, it's not. You're a dumbass either way. You riot, burn stuff, cause destruction, and mayhem. You're criminals. Black, white, brown, yellow, red, purple, green, blue, teal, translucent, I don't care. You're a criminal. That's how most people see this sort of thing. So, yeah. In the aftermath of the chaos that erupted in Philadelphia as Eagles fans tore through the streets celebrating their Super Bowl victory, many could not help but notice the difference in how the public and officials reacted to riots by fans compared to those prompted by civil unrest. By that, do you mean all of us thinking you're idiots? That you should all be arrested? That if that was the case, there wouldn't be enough room? Well, I'll tell you right now, with this first paragraph, you gotta remember something. As stupid as it may be, there tend to be more people involved in sports-related riots than civil unrest riots. For example, look down there in the bottom right corner. Look at that swarm, that mass of people. I didn't see that many people riot in Ferguson. So, well, maybe total, but not in one concentrated area. Somehow it seems there's a line drawn in the sand where destruction of property because of a sports victory is okay and acceptable in America. No, it's not. Never has been. Never will be. Pull your head out of your backside before you suffocate. However, if you have people who are fighting for the most basic human right, the right to live, they will be condemned. Black Lives Matter New York President Hawk Newsom told Newsweek. Okay, first off, if that's his actual first name, that's awesome. Secondly, I have never seen someone say this type of behavior because of a sports game is acceptable. Never. They are condemned by the police, anyone with a brain, Sports Center, the sports world. Everybody says don't do it, but they do it anyway because they're morons. So don't sit there for 1 second and cry victim because you aren't. They're just as bad as you are. They are criticized and condemned just as much as you are when you do the same things. So don't start this, you liar. You professional victim. Emergency responders struggled to keep up with rioters as they marched through Philadelphia streets, leaving destruction in their wake. Revelers reportedly ripped down light posts because they couldn't climb them thanks to hydraulic fluid, caused entire structures to collapse, and damaged vehicles and stores as they celebrated the Eagles' 41-33 victory. Now, I know some people will not agree with what I'm about to say, and that's completely fine, but I can be petty and vindictive. So, okay, that part people might agree with, but it's this part. If I was the owner of a sports team that won the championship, doesn't matter the sport, and the fans rioted, I would see about relocating as soon as possible, because as far as I'm concerned, if you riot because your team won, you don't deserve to have a team. I mean, they should just do like the Colts did in '84, up and move in the middle of the night, just see ya, and gone. But that's just my opinion. Because like I said, I can be petty and vindictive. But officials appeared slow to condemn the destruction caused by rioters, offering seemingly gentle requests for everyone to go home. That's how it usually starts. They're nice. Hey, would everyone go home and stop this? Still going strong in the Office of Emergency Management, but if everyone could go home, that would be great, Philadelphia Police Sergeant Brian Gear wrote on Twitter at 9:30 p.m., adding, "We have to get some rest to start planning a parade in the morning." Which, of course, is a completely acceptable request that any civilized human being would say, "Yeah, you're right. Let's go home, get some rest, go to the planned celebratory parade the next day." But I mean, I can hear people now. Oh, they're uncivilized. Black people are uncivilized. You're calling black people uncivilized? No. I'm calling any sports fan who riots uncivilized. That's what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, Philadelphia City Council thanked emergency responders for their hard work amid the riots, stating, "This is the start of some long days and nights for them." And what's the problem with that? Because it's true. Because people are morons. Newsom called the lack of condemnation from officials a glaring example of white privilege. Really? I don't see 100% white people down there in this thumbnail right down here in the corner. A good portion of them look to be other than white. I'm just saying. To say it's white privilege, you are completely ignoring the fact that there were black people rioting as well. And let's be honest. With a sport that is more than probably, I'd say, 80-20 black players, I guarantee you there were a lot of minorities out there rioting. So yeah, good way to act like your own people don't exist. You can riot if you're white and your team wins, but if you're black and being killed, you can't speak out, he added. Who says? Last time I checked, Super Bowl or sports championship riots usually are one night. Ferguson? LA riots? Yeah, they went on for a while. Not just one day or one night. So don't think for 1 second you're a victim in all this. Because unless you were out there actually rioting or had your crap destroyed, you aren't a victim in this. So stop complaining, you professional victim. Black Lives Matter, which works to raise awareness around racial inequality and police brutality, first came under the public spotlight after organizing protests in response to the death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, who would have turned 23 on Monday had he not been fatally shot by George Zimmerman while walking home from a convenience store with a bag of Skittles and a drink. Yeah, they're also, I believe, was it Philadelphia or Baltimore that classified them as a domestic terrorist organization because their protests, quote unquote, were actually just riots. Basically. A good portion of the time, anyway. And they end up destroying private property, setting things on fire. Basically what happened in Philadelphia. Except people have died because of BLM. So, yeah. Don't paint them in the angelic light you're trying, because it's bullshit. Since then, the group has faced strong opposition from law enforcement and groups like Blue Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. A recent survey conducted last year also found that 57% of people in America had an unfavorable view of BLM, with the majority of those opposed to the group being white. Well, yeah. And this is going to sound racist, but of course most are white. They're looking from the outside in at their behavior. They're looking at their behavior and saying, hey, this is unacceptable. Riots aren't acceptable. Destruction of private property, not acceptable. That sort of thing. Looting, not acceptable. So, yeah. Because, of course, the black community is going to be split with supporters and, of course, some critics. The white population is not, it's going to be divided, but not as much. So, of course, so that's kind of an idiotic statement to try and make it sound like America's racist. But, yeah, when you dig into it, it's not so cut and dry, I hate to say it, but black and white, as they try to make it out to be. I mean, you get a B for effort, but an F in landing. It's nothing new to us that hordes of predominantly white fans setting fires, flipping over cars, and destroying property are viewed as rowdy and engaged by police in a non-threatening manner, while crowds of predominantly black and brown people blocking traffic or even holding candlelight vigils to protest state violence against black and brown people are met with scores of hostile police and viewed as violent, BLM Philly said in a statement. Well, for one, again, as I said in one of my first two videos, I believe it was the other of the videos, when you block the road, you're being an asshole. You're not protesting, you're being disruptive. Like blocking ambulances, police from doing their job, fire trucks, firefighters trying to get the fires, that sort of thing. That's not a protest. That's being an asshole. And doing it as such, you should be dealt with accordingly. Now, of course, there are times, candlelight vigils, the cops may overreact, but how are they supposed to react when you have, like, candlelight vigil over here and a couple assholes over here trying to start a riot? I'm not saying that's the entire case, but I'm just, statements not entirely genuine. It makes me think about Baltimore because I was there the day the riot started. Newsom said, you could feel the tension in the air. Yep, that's what BLM does. They're basically the new Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, the race baiters. They go there, they create the tension. Don't get me wrong, what happened in Baltimore, unacceptable, about Freddie Gray. But BLM goes there, ramps up the tension, makes it worse, and then when the combustible elements, combust, see, racism, and completely ignore the fact that they were helping ramp up the tension. Riots broke out in Baltimore in 2015 after the death of Freddie Gray, a black 25-year-old resident who died after sustaining injuries to his neck and spine while being transported in a police vehicle after officers arrested him. Like I said, unacceptable what happened, but so was the riotous behavior. So, I was raised on the philosophy, two wrongs don't make a right. One wrongful death does not justify thousands of people acting like dicks, rioting, destroying property, and looting. It's something I find funny about riots. Black people get together to protest racial inequality, racial stereotypes, that sort of thing. But then when the riots start, they're the same ones that destroy stuff and steal from businesses. They perpetuate the negative stereotypes. Do they not see the irony in this? Because, trust me, I do, and it's ridiculous. Gray's death was ruled by a medical examiner to be a homicide, resulting in 6 officers being charged with multiple offenses, including second-degree murder. During the protest, some rioters smashed storefronts and damaged a number of police vehicles. At least 34 people were reportedly arrested and a number of police officers were injured. Like I said, they're there to protest a wrong, yet they become the wrong. So, you can see why I don't give two rats furry little ass cracks about them. They were just so angry, they didn't know how to express themselves any other way. That's why they were rioting. It's not like they were doing it in the name of fun, Newsom said. Yeah, I beg to differ. Tell that to the jackasses that broke into electronic stores and made off with televisions and other high-end electronics that they didn't need. Now, if it was food and it was because they couldn't afford it, that's one thing. But to use something politically motivated to loot an electronics store, or any store for that matter, no, you lost any moral high ground. Your cause, out the window. Your stance, gone. You are a scumbag and part of the problem. Enough said. I wish they wouldn't riot, but I can't condemn them, and neither can anyone else, especially not the media. Especially not politicians when they condone people who are just drunk and destroying property because their team won, he added. First off, as one of the anyone else, yeah, I can. I can condemn BLM. I can condemn sports fans because they're both idiots. The media can because they do condemn sports rioters. Do you not watch Sports Center or NFL Network or anything like that? Apparently not, because I have seen sportscasters make fun of these people and say, people, don't do this. But of course that doesn't fit your narrative with your head being so far up your backside, so I can understand why you don't get it. Bernice King, the youngest child of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King, shared similar sentiments on Twitter, writing, "As football fans riot, I am reminded that in response to the unjust killings of young black men like Trayvon Martin, who would have been 23 today, rioting is considered an affront to humanity, not endorsing violence. Endorsing honest examination of why and eradication of racism," King wrote. Of course rioting is an affront to humanity. It makes rioters look uncivilized, uncouth, if you will. It's not acceptable. Oh, I don't get why people think people don't condemn sports fans for rioting. 'Cause they do. A number of Twitter users were also quick to point out the contrast between how officials responded to the riots compared to protests held over racial inequality or police brutality. Okay, before we look at these, can I just point out that Philly wasn't expected to win the Super Bowl, so odds are when the police and the emergency responders started getting ready, it was kind of late. So they're like, oh shit, we might actually win this. We better get ready just in case. Because, I mean, let's face it, they're facing Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Even I figured, the Patriots are going to win. So that's why I didn't watch until the fourth quarter. So, you ever stop to think there could be mitigating circumstances? Not just, oh, I'm dark-skinned, they don't like me. No, because you're a professional victim. Everything is, oh, I'm black, I'm oppressed for everything. You lose a parking spot because you're 50 feet away and another guy was 2 feet away and he happened to be white. Oppression, racism, systemic racism. Stop it! You make yourself look like an idiot. The next time someone comes at you about black people rioting for justice, point them at the hashtag chronicling the aftermath of a sports team winning a big game. Screenwriter Michael Starbury wrote on Twitter, referring to the hashtag Philly Police Scanner hashtag. Again, you dumb shits. People condemn these idiots too. Does it hurt for you to dig for this kind of crap so hard? Or is it hard for you to completely ignore the criticisms the sports fans get because it doesn't help your little propaganda BS crap? Twitter users flooded the social media site with the hashtag, sharing shocking reports allegedly made by officers over police scanners as rioters climbed buildings, tore down light poles, and took over downtown streets. Okay. I don't see anyone saying, hey, good for you. Good job acting like adults celebrating your team. A team that you're not actually on, winning a game. We laugh about white people doing things like this for a team, but look down on black and brown people upset over killing, one commenter tweeted. No, we don't. Just because some people do does not mean we all do. How stupid do you people get? I don't even know if I can finish this article, even though I'm near the end. My brain is starting to hurt, and we're creeping up on a half hour. What the hell. I agree that there's a clear and consistent double standard about rioting. A riot with mostly white people often gets turned into jokes, another wrote. Imagine the blowback if the majority of these people were black. I'm just saying, be consistent about it. How do you know they're not? I'm not saying they are a majority black, but I'm just saying, how do you know they're not? Are you there signing them in? Okay, yeah. Mike Williams, black. Chris Smith, white. So on and so forth. No, you're not. Shut up. Another commenter drew comparisons between reactions to the destruction caused by rioters and widespread criticisms calling the Take a Knee movement disrespectful after a number of NFL players, led by Colin Kaepernick, began taking a knee during the U.S. national anthem to protest police brutality and racial inequality in America. I know quite a few people that have a problem with the players taking a knee that also criticize the rioters. Crazy, I know, but yeah, people are actually able to be, critical of both. I rip into the left and the right. I'm not the only person in the world that does this, you buffoons. He quoted police reports allegedly made over the Philadelphia police scanner, including, a guy in a four-wheeler just ran over a cop, and we need more shields and riot gear, before adding, but football players kneeling is disrespectful. Okay, first off, They have four-wheelers in Philly. As someone who lives in an area where those are very prevalent, never thought I'd actually see one in Philadelphia. Interesting. President Donald Trump has been one of the most outspoken critics of the Take a Knee movement, repeatedly rebuking Kaepernick and fellow NFL players. Ooh, big deal. Who cares about the giant Cheeto in charge? In September, the president called on NFL owners to fire players who kneeled during the national anthem and encouraged fans to walk out on games where players protested. Yeah, he basically tried to violate their First Amendment rights, but whatever.